Everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to just jump right in here with our webinar on getting granular with higher ed marketing. So first, some introductions. I'm Steve Kroll. I'm our president here at Granular.
And I'm Jordon Meyer, the founder and CEO here.
So this is a high level of what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about our experience within higher ed, both as an agency and Jordon personally. We're going to talk about how to reach traditional and non-traditional students. We're going to talk a bit about OPMs just because they've really made some waves within the last decade within higher ed. And then we're going to talk about what some different paths forward could look like for you and your organization. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jordon Meyer.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So why are you hearing from Granular? Why are you hearing from me about higher ed and why do we have the authority to talk about it? We might not be a sleeping giant, but lack of a better term, I just think we're, potentially a lesser known higher ed authority and maybe one of the better options that you just haven't heard of yet. So I started the agency in 2014. We're based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but have clients nationally and some teammates scattered nationally now after the pandemic. But we are based here downtown Milwaukee. I'm in our beautiful office right now. And we have been a trusted marketing partner, primarily focused on Google and Bing, Microsoft, Meta, pretty much everything paid digital media. And we serve a lot of clients throughout a lot of different verticals. But I personally spent a lot of time and a lot of money and drove a lot of enrollments for colleges and universities before starting Granular. I've been in this space specifically for higher ed since 2012. I worked in-house at for-profit college. We had over 20 campus locations throughout the Midwest, and I was in charge of driving enrollment growth digitally for them and exceeded goals and really made a name for myself in the higher ed space. I went on to another for-profit university up in Minneapolis, and that was a similar story. Worked on since then as Granular. We've worked with dozens of colleges and universities around the country, whether that be to grow enrollment, improve efficiency as budgets scale back. We're really good at driving measurable improvements in the overall digital marketing mix. And then there's not just a focus on one style of college or university or school. We've got really strong experience in online and traditional and across the gamut, for-profit, not-for-profit, small regional colleges to very large universities. And this old picture of me here is from when Google invited us out to Mountain View to record a informational video on higher ed marketing. Some of our experience, this isn't a full list, but just so you might be able to put yourself in one of these boxes of a similar size, similar style college or university. Worked with Marquette, Whitewater, MSOE, University of Wisconsin system. Lots of Midwest, of course, because we're based here in Wisconsin. I've got ties in Minnesota, but we work with colleges and universities across the country. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi is an example. So we're definitely not bound by our state lines. So got a couple slides here just to tell you what we do and what we can do for you. We'll get through this quick and get into some deeper insights and thoughts about some strategic and tactical things that you can do and you can think about for your own school. So paid digital, that's what Granular is really core at from a skill standpoint and from our team of over 22 professionals here. We work on building world-class search engine marketing strategy and management, really built around smart architecture for higher ed enrollment, focusing on quality score, focusing on multi-channel strategy, not just putting all of your eggs in one basket like Google, but really diversifying that and making sure that we're driving efficiency and staying in front of your prospective students. Moving on to the analytics, reporting, and custom dashboards. This is key for us. We typically don't like to spend a dollar unless we can measure how that dollar was spent. And all too often we come into audit situations or really early in relationships with colleges and see that there's a huge gap in their tracking. They're only measuring page visits, or they're not measuring critical actions on their website. They're not measuring form fills or chats, and they're very often missing the gap from a chat or a form fill into someone becoming an inquiry or a lead, and then there's certainly gaps flowing through the enrollment process. So we work closely with all of our higher education clients and partners to really close that loop and make sure that we're informed and you're informed on every dollar invested into marketing and advertising. And we really help you grow your marketing funnel to put values on some of those micro conversions, like somebody engaged in a blog post or signing up for an event, in-person event or on-campus event, as well as actually filling out the form or inquiring through a lead form for more information. And we make sure that we build the funnel from kind of the bottom up, where we are really capturing the demand that is out there, but then building upon that and making as efficient marketing mix as possible for you. And then we're really good at optimizing for specific degree programs. We're not just out there advertising your brand and your college or your university. We can really hone in and get granular on specific degrees and degree programs, whether that be something that is already doing well and you want to take advantage of cohort sizes or availability to get more students in, like nursing or graduate programs. If it's something new, like a new certificate program or a continuing education certificate, we can help develop smart, efficient advertising campaigns around that and really drive something from start to finish. So really customized solutions there as well. Hand it back over to Steve for some of the student journey.
Thanks, Jordan. So we're going to talk about the student journey overall, and then we're actually going to get into the traditional student journey and the non-traditional student. But we wanted to start high level here. So really want to start with how things have really changed and have really accelerated since COVID. So for those of you who are watching this isn't news to you, but it's something worth stating here because it's something that we've had to help our higher ed clients overcome. So there's more competition. So traditional schools are becoming a lot more aggressive and more sophisticated with their student recruitment. It used to be smaller schools or these for-profits only who were competing, or maybe a school or two in a state. Now you're seeing a lot more competition happening across the board. More online programs. This is something that was really viewed as a real blue ocean opportunity for schools who were looking to gain market share and compete. With COVID, that really accelerated schools across the board, across the United States, getting their online programs turned on. So the issue is now you don't have to deal just with those competitors, the traditional competitors in your backyard. You're having to deal with other well-known schools who are outside of your geographic area coming into your space with your students saying they can get that degree or certificate program and they're competing in the same keyword spaces. They're retargeting those same users in your backyard. And then there are just overall demographic challenges happening within higher education. There's a huge sea change that's being felt, and you've certainly probably seen this already with your institution. There's just a smaller pool of students available. So with less students available, more competition that's happening within your state lines, and then also outside of your state. That just means that in order to hit certain enrollment numbers, people are bidding a lot more to get in front of them and really leveraging those proven channels like search. So what does that do? More competition, costs go up. Platforms like Google are winning. And with all the changes that are happening within Google's ecosystems and these other platforms, changes to Google Analytics, changes to bid strategies, along with all of these changes happening in the higher ed space, if you don't have a partner like Granular that you're working with, you could really see your cost per application, cost per start really skyrocketing. And so we want to talk about, we thought this was a great excerpt from a study that Google actually did. So this is not a hypothetical. What this is pulling out a specific user case from a longitudinal study that Google actually did over the course of 7 months. This was a couple of years ago they did this. So this longitudinal study included thousands of students and surveys, hundreds of discussion groups, and clickstream data. This is within the Google ecosystem. And then when we talk about the messy middle of what that student journey looks like, so you already have all of these challenges that are happening. And then now within that journey is not as linear as you might think. So in this example, this is a single mother, 35-year-old, who's looking into a business degree. For this specific user, Google was able to identify that they did 132 individual searches related to higher education. They visited 764 school pages, over 116 career and financial aid page visits, over 19 video page visits, and 76 social page visits. These were all of the different actions that were taken prior to submitting. And so when we talk about the importance of a full funnel digital strategy, when you look at the path that, in that example, that 35-year-old single mother's having to take, they're doing a Google search and they're clicking an ad. They visit the site. Now they're on TikTok. They're engaging with content, and then they're seeing an ad for that institution. They're doing a search. They're on Instagram. They're seeing content. They're going across mobile. They're going across desktop. They're looking on YouTube. There's all these different actions that are taken that are not just a straight linear path on do one search, click one ad, go through and apply. There's a whole user journey that's taking place.
Yeah, and this just shows that, it's not, we're not driving single visit conversions. Typically, you might have an anomaly that does, but the norm is an extensive user journey. It's a big decision to make. We're not Target. You don't walk in and buy something at every visit. This is a big decision for people to make, and they want to do a lot of research. So a large percentage of the visits that we generate through search are not converting right away. And multiple visits and brand touches are needed. So it's really important to have that full funnel, but search often starts and closes the deal. And that's why we think search is still king. We're a Google Premier partner. We certainly act as kind of a firewall in between Google and our clients, helping you make informed decisions and take advantage of what they offer, but not fall into the trap of accepting everything that they offer. But at the end of the day, search is still king. It's the number one channel to capture that intent that people have. And it's often where the student journey begins. So, and over half of them are mobile. It's measurable, and there's near immediate data to leverage and optimize towards. So search is still key. but a multi-channel funnel is often the smart way to really capture and make search work for you. So we're going to jump in and dive into reaching both traditional and non-traditional students. We're going to segment this into two different parts. And, you know, in this example, you might have a non-traditional dad here, and he is going to get his degree, but his son might go to a traditional school. I mean, you can have multiple journeys through the same family, through generations, and it's important to understand and be in front of each of those audiences. And we think we're very good at it, and so do all of our higher ed clients. So diving into traditional students, it's if you're at a traditional school or you're familiar with the process of recruiting and enrollment, you know it's a heavy lift. Often a lot of people in person supporting it, potentially multiple vendors and internal teams, travel and time intensive to build awareness, drive interest, keep interest, enroll students. You know, now those are through things like college fairs, trying to do outreach and get in touch with parents, making sure that you're in front of some of the bigger and more important high school guidance counselors, but realistically, you should be in front of all of them because every student counts. State fairs, baseball games, basketball games, good places to be. Direct mail, I know it's very heavily invested still. It's definitely on a cycle comeback. I think direct mail is great, but we think it can be even greater with the addition of programmatic synced up into direct mail. You guys leverage your beautiful campuses to get people on campus through summer camps and things like that. And you know, ultimately, we're whoa, somebody's jumping around. All right. Got a little click happy. Ultimately, you know, traditional student recruiting is years before they make their decision. So it's really important to have strong strategy around that. So this is just an example, kind of a Gantt chart of, and this is really zoomed out, of that traditional student recruiting timeline. And the reason that we have, if you go down to the bottom here, the digital support aspect of this, which we do, you want that brand awareness consistently throughout display, video, YouTube, any video that potential students, parents, guidance counselors, everyone in that decision tree, you know, is exposed to. And then, you know, segmenting below some of these bigger events and targets like summer camps, like we're going to make sure that you're visible in search if somebody's looking for that, whether that be a student, a grandparent, a parent trying to look for a summer camp for their kid. YouTube, you can be present, you can be in front of people before they're really in that decision process, just to build brand awareness, to make sure that they're aware of your brand, they're becoming familiar with it. Moving on, you know, to college fairs. Again, some people look for those. A lot of times those are initiated through school, grade school and high school. But again, you want to be there. You want to look bigger than you might be. We help a lot of schools with smaller enrollment numbers, smaller campuses, really have a reach and kind of a media impact that they couldn't otherwise have with traditional media. So with digital, we can really pinpoint and get in front of people on their TVs at home, on their streaming TVs, on their computer, on their tablet, on their iPad, when they're watching YouTube, to keep you in front of them. And really along the way, just being in front of the right people at the right time is what digital can do from a traditional student recruiting timeline. And I'll just dive into each of these kind of audience targets and event targets with some examples for you in the next few slides. So how do we reach students for college fairs? Basically filling the top of the funnel with display ads, YouTube ads, search ads, like I started to point out in our Gantt chart on the last slide, using events and event reminder ads through Meta to reach potential students and parents and guidance counselors, and then reinforce those with display and retargeting campaigns that lead up to the event. That can be very kind of laser focused from a time standpoint and a geographical standpoint. So you're not just wasting money on targets that are not ideal for you. Reaching parents, we know that parents are heavily involved in the decision making for their kids going to school. Sometimes the ultimate decision maker, telling them where to go to school. But at any rate, you need parents involved in the decision. You need them to be on board and interested and want to send their child to your school. So we can programmatically target parents with children in high school by leveraging third-party data, still widely available, targeting cohorts around that type of behavior for looking for schools, college age kids that are ready to pull the trigger. We can get in front of their parents too, so that decision can be made together and both parties are well aware of your school. And we can change the messaging as well. So for parents, we can show how easy it is to apply, or that you can apply for free perhaps, or the scholarships that you might have. And we can also show, that it's outcomes based, right? Your school has high graduation rate, high placement rate for graduates, whatever it may be. You typically have the data. We work with you to get that and craft really enticing ads and get it in front of the right person. For a high school guidance counselor as well, we can leverage LinkedIn ads, again, Meta event ads, display, search, account-based targeting to get in front of guidance counselors. Beyond mailers or trying to build personal relationships with boots on the ground, digital marketing can really boost awareness and consideration towards having a highly influential relationship between the school and the student and the counselor. So that's just another good way to get in front of them. And again, same kind of benefit advertising, right? Scholarships, easy to apply, outcomes based. We can really sell the school to the guidance counselors. Additionally, boosting in-person event attendance at places like state fairs or sporting events. In person is really powerful. We know that. Again, it takes a lot of effort to be there. So rather than just getting some people that walk by the table or the booth, we can try to drive more interested people there with targeted ads. And then one of the really important things is, after you collect their first party data at those events by filling out their name and email and phone number, you can then feed that back to your digital partner like Granular, and we can leverage that in our digital platforms to keep ads in front of whoever information you gather that day. Direct mail and digital, I mentioned that earlier. Look, the tree is already dead once you send that postcard or mailer. Don't let that be the end of its usefulness. Pairing pairing digital with direct mail can really add a powerful boost to enrollment efforts. We can match mailing lists with programmatic ads in a way that makes the investment you're most likely already doing, it just carries that even further, makes it more efficient and effective. And then leveraging your summer camps. You might get great enrollment already on these, but we should be leveraging search, display, first party data for programmatic and display ads, TikTok, Meta, Snapchat, lots of different ways to reach people that should be attending your summer camps, or the parents of younger students that should be attending your summer camps. Again, it's another great opportunity. You have them in person. You can build that first party data list and then go beyond just emailing them or using SMS. First party data is now crucial to a really strong digital ad strategy. So again, just another great way to keep people in the marketing funnel. And this is all years before people make their decision. Traditional universities invest so much in their legacy and their brand that it often creates lifelong fans. And that used to be an easy pipeline of new students. That was plenty. The acceptance rate was lower, and they're filling their desks and their coffers, and things were great. But as we've seen over the years, that's not enough. If you're not leveraging sophisticated digital marketing to convince the next generation to enroll, you're losing to more advanced schools. As Steve mentioned earlier, even schools that don't have your legacy, they don't have your campus even, they're just online sometimes. They're so advanced, and some of them are our clients. They're so advanced at digital that they're coming into your backyard and taking your prospective students. So it's really important. And then beyond enrollment, when you get the student, you're not done. You can leverage digital to really engage the student afterwards, after they enroll. You can get them to the first day of class, but also leverage that and show ads to students on campus, and make sure that they show up to activities, they're engaged in extracurricular activities, and that will help you turn a graduate into a lifelong recruiter for your school, because they had such a good time and it's such a memorable experience for them. So that was a big, long-winded traditional student deep dive there. So pass it over to Steve for non-traditional.
Thanks, Jordan. A lot of dense, awesome information there on reaching the traditional student. And as those of you who are watching this are aware, such a big component of the financial models of institutions is being able to have a robust approach for reaching that non-traditional student. The value of that, but what are some of the challenges that come with that? Changing habits is really tough. And even for people who feel like they want to invest in themselves and get that degree or certificate, your competitor is inertia. It's the couch. These are people who they've got life going on. They can tell themselves tomorrow, next week, next month, the new year. It's hard to break that pattern of the same habits. It's less of a playbook. Jordan just walked through a really prescriptive playbook. Now, there's differences with different types of schools, but there is more of a natural progression from middle school, high school to when they graduate. There's less of a playbook with that traditional student. There's more than one type of persona when it comes to a traditional and non-traditional student. So there's more distractions. These are people who've got day-to-day life going on. They've got jobs. They've got other things that they're doing. They've got hobbies. And there's greater opportunity once someone maybe takes that initial step and decides that they're going to, enroll, to lose traction. And what does that mean? That means that there's more resources that have to go into doing the things that Jordan talked about, not just getting them to start, but keeping them engaged, reminding them of the value of getting that degree. And again, it's the pipeline. Going back to what we talked about earlier, it's less obvious for that non-traditional student. And so, but why is it worth it? And what are the schools that work with Granular? Why do they put that effort to really break through and have success here? And what are the things they do compared to the schools that aren't succeeding, that don't work with Granular? So, first, some really interesting insights. So 1 in 10 college students in the US are age 40 or older. So this data comes from the National Center for Education. And so when you think about 10% of your student population being age 40 or older, if you don't have a deliberate strategy, or if you're marketing to those individuals the same way you're marketing to that traditional student, you're losing. You have to have that figured out, because it's not just a case of it's nice to have. If 10 years ago it was viewed as it's a nice to have, good incremental, now it's really seen as critical to help buoy certain programs, or closing of certain campus locations, or we've even seen cases here of actual schools closing. So what are the winning schools doing? The schools that work with Granular, what do we do for them? We're reaching those potential non-traditional students across the open web. We're reaching them on streaming platforms. We're reaching them on social media. These people are not actively searching a lot of times for the specific degrees and programs. You have to create that spark in that intrigue. And so we're able to leverage behavior targeting, demographic targeting, and interest targeting based off of the type of student that does have a high propensity to yield, in getting in front of them to try and have that pattern interruption. We're big believers, and we have the data to support it, that high frequency retargeting that incorporates different messaging is really critical here. So, there's this concern, I think, by a lot of marketers that they feel that they could be annoying their prospective student too much if they're retargeting them too often. We do not have data that supports that. In fact, we see that the retargeting from groups who are either managing their ads internally or a different partner than Granular, the retargeting frequency is too low, and the retargeting they're doing doesn't have enough diversity of content in there. That's something where we bring to the table, and it's a real shift. You have to make sure you're investing appropriately. So we put all this effort in reaching people at the top of the funnel, creating intrigue. But like we talked about earlier, if you're not investing in paid search, Jordan's hit on this, search is still king. You have to take advantage of search. You put all that effort in just for a competitor to swoop in to show up on that valuable search result. You have to make sure that you're investing to show up in the search result. And again, you work with Granular, we figure out how to make sure it's the right type of search result in the right geographic area, rather than kind of doing it in a blanket way. Because I know a concern could be, we just don't have the money to spend like some of these other big places. You can look really big, you can show up in the right place without having to break the bank. And then the schools that we work with, they continue to build the pipeline even when enrollment numbers are a goal. It's easy to fall into the pattern of, we've got a budget, this is when campaigns start, this is when they stop. Once we hit enrollment, we'll just turn off ads. Well, that's really a losing mindset to have. The schools who win compared to those who don't have a mindset of, we've got evergreen campaigns, and we're figuring out how do we continue to build that pipeline even once we've hit our enrollment target. So what we want to do is create, showcase a persona of a non-traditional student. So you're going to be able to get a copy of this presentation, so feel free to sit with this. But in this example, this is an individual named Ronnie. He lives in Appleton, Wisconsin. He's a renter. He got his high school diploma. He's engaged, not yet married. He's figured out how to work his way up to pretty much the highest level he can, working in an IT support call center. He's really seen as the one who's the go-to to solve problems. And he's been able to get to a point where he really feels like he's maxed out at what he's been able to do. While he's been able to do a good job there, his frustrations are, he's got limited earning potential at work, an inconsistent work schedule. The only way he's able to make more money is working overtime, working weekends, which really cuts into that time that he wants to spend with his family. And the thing that really refuels his tank, which is DJing on nights and weekends, playing basketball, listening to podcasts. These are things that he wants to do. So in his mind, he has this real desire of, one day I'll be able to get a degree. I want to do something more technical where, I can be salaried. I can get a 401k. I can have good health insurance, and getting a degree is a path to do that. But I don't know what I want to do and what that would look like. So in this example, we're going to look at 90 days, what his path to convert in 90 days looks like. Working with one of our clients, reaching Ronnie. So Ronnie does a search on day one, easy IT degrees that pay well. and he clicks a search ad for a number of different schools, but the school that resonates is our client. He clicks the ad for the school, and the retargeting pixel is placed. He consumes content on the website. He doesn't fill out a form to attend a virtual webinar. He doesn't submit his application. He leaves the website. Well, what happens then? We don't just give up on Ronnie because he did that search in the first place. Easy IT degrees that pay well. So over the course of the next 90 days, we're reaching Ronnie across multiple places. We're reaching him across the open web. We're reaching him across, top websites related to IT careers and degrees, but also non-higher ed related sites. And because we have that cookie placed, we're serving banners. Viewable impression banner ads are being served with our clients, their institution, and the different degree program options for him. When he's researching on YouTube, he's looking into IT jobs. Should I get a degree? Should I get a certificate? But also he's watching content related to best DJ equipment. He's looking for things to do with his family near the Appleton area on the weekend. We're serving pre-roll and mid-roll ads, 6-second, 15-second non-skippables, and 30-second ads, and testing these different things. He's checking Instagram. He's got his page for his DJing that he loves to do. So he's checking Instagram multiple times a day. He's scrolling the feeds. He's looking at stories. We're serving story newsfeed ads to him with multiple creatives and messaging. So on day 91, what does he decide to do? He's been able to see all these different degrees. He's been able to narrow it down. He's got a spreadsheet where he said, all right, I'm ready to take the leap. He does a search for our client's school he decides network engineering and security is the path he wants to take. And he actually clicks on an organic result, and he applies online. And so look at all the paths that were required for him to complete that. And we've got this broken out here, not just for Ronnie, but what this could look like for the non-traditional student marketing funnel. Each of these channels contributes to the conversion from that awareness stage where we're prospecting on YouTube, on social, on display. We're reaching people on YouTube TV. We're reaching them across Hulu, different inventory, paid search, all the way through. We're building that relationship and moving them down the funnel. And so when you look at that non-traditional student recruiting timeline, we have this broken out, and we really wanted Jordon and I really wanted to create some great resources for you. Jordon was able to do that in the traditional student recruiting section. I've been able to put this together here, non-traditional, of what an earned and owned effort. So that would be the efforts that your team is leveraging, complemented by the efforts that Granular is doing. So this is very typical of what our clients are doing and what Granular does. So you'll see that your team is doing one-to-one email outreach, phone calls. If they'll answer their phone, if you're reaching people, millennials, Gen Xers, they're more likely to answer the phone than Gen Zers. Text message campaigns, reaching them on organic social, webinars, virtual events. So these are all efforts that are really important. Again, I talked about what are the winning schools doing. You might look at this and say, we're not doing a lot of this stuff. We want to share what the winning schools are doing when they're nailing things on their end, what we're doing. The good news is, even if there's still some effort that's required on the earned and owned efforts, we can help supplement that in the meantime with what we're doing on the paid side. So we're similar to what Jordon talked about on the traditional student side. We're reaching those users with display. We're reaching them on their TV devices. We're reaching them when they're watching video on their phone. And then we're retargeting them very aggressively. We're running on search. We're running on Meta. We're running on YouTube. We're running on LinkedIn. Again, when we're talking about that non-traditional student, they're going to have a higher propensity to have a LinkedIn profile. So we can do some demographic and job title targeting and do some different things there. So again, this is not a one size fits all. But if you're doing the things that I've outlined here, you're in a really good place. And the only way it gets better is if you're doing it with us. And so, we're big believers in multi-channel, big believers in programmatic. Even though search is still king, we really believe that you have to be on these different places just to match the student journey. And so one thing I did want to make sure we covered before we ended here, just because they have made some waves within the last decade, are OPMs. So for those of you watching this, you probably know what OPMs are. You've been pitched by them. You may even be using them, and they have a role to play. And I guess what we wanted to do is talk about what they do, and then what our take is on it with clients where we've had to take over programs that were previously managed by OPMs, or clients who are currently considering OPMs and decided to hold off on that. So what does OPM stand for? It's online program management. So these companies have gained a lot of market share the last decade in the higher education space. They're able to, they claim they're able to offer an all-in-one solution. And so they will do everything from course design, web development, marketing, enrollment. This turnkey package can be attractive to teams which feel strapped for resources. It can feel daunting to be able to figure all these things out. Maybe they've previously took a big swing with an agency and the agency didn't quite work out. And so the appeal of being able to work with someone where all they do is specialize in higher ed as an OPM can be attractive. And then on that note, turnkey, it can feel a lifeline, especially when you're tasked with launching a new program. Schools are really good at having big initiatives, saying we're going to really invest in pushing into these programs, or we're going to resurrect some struggling programs. And so it can look like a knight on shining armor when you have an OPM who can come in and save things. And the appeal of what appears to be a pay-performance model, where there's some shared risk, where even maybe some funds are put up front by the OPM, can be attractive, especially for schools dealing with cash flow and budget issues. What's our take on it, right? There's a great nuanced discussion we could have. More than happy to set up some time with you to talk more about this. But from what we've seen, again, from clients who we've had to take over when they were with OPMs, or where they got the horse and pony show and really were considering walking down that path, ask yourself, if something sounds too good to be true, is it? I mean, how many times in life has something sounded too good to be true and you went with it and it actually turned out to be the case? If there are challenges on the institution level, or if you're not doing a lot of things I talked about in the earned and owned section, if you're not trying, Jordon talked about, we don't want to spend $1 before we things have tracked. If you don't have those things figured out, is that really is working with an OPM handing over entire programs to them going to help you break through that enrollment wall? We haven't seen it. And you have to think about, what the costs are to turnkey when you give up ownership to ad accounts, landing pages, that whole enrollment process. You've now created a large knowledge gap at the institution level with what's the best performing targeting? What are the best performing ads? What bid strategies make sense? So you're kind of stuck, and it makes the separation process painful and costly. And when you talk about, I talked about that revenue model, what it actually can do is it incentivizes less risk. So there'll be a bit of a bait and switch we've seen, where there will be a push to promote a new program or a program that's struggling by the institution, but then the OPMs will push really hard for those breadwinning programs. Maybe they'll want nursing, for instance. That's a big program for a lot of schools. And they'll bundle that because it's less risky than them having to put up all their own money to be able to promote struggling programs. I really haven't seen many cases where, actually I've seen 0 cases where an OPM who is strictly worked on new programs or programs that are struggling, and they weren't able to get kind of those more breadwinning programs, have been able to be successful. So this is, the last thing I'll say about OPMs. So if you're already using an OPM, I strongly encourage you, talk to us. We'll give you an honest assessment if they're doing a good job. There's a lot of things that they're doing as part of that engagement. We'll keep it real with you if we think they're doing a good job. If you're considering them, please talk to us. Even if you choose not to work with Granular ongoing, we'll arm you with the right questions to ask. We know where the landmines are. We'll prepare you for what you need to make sure is included in your contract to be safe. So that's what we would say is, please, if you're using an OPM, considering OPM, you should be talking to Granular.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, just to pile on that, like Steve said, I mean, we are happy to talk to you for free about that. We're very opinionated, but also educated on those OPMs, and my opinion is it's like building your campus on top of a swamp. You can do it, but things are going to start to crack and sink, and then it's going to be too late, and it's going to be really hard to dig out of that and fix. And we've seen it. It can be some temporary relief, but when you're trying to really build or protect a legacy of a college or a university, you kind of want to own that yourself. So, all right, we're wrapping up here pretty soon. Just a couple more slides. Thanks for sticking with us. Last section is one size doesn't fit all. We've worked with a lot of colleges, universities, community colleges, certificate programs. So, getting granular, how can we help? We often start with an audit. If you are running digital ads, if you've got an advertising or marketing program, whether that's in-house, somebody started it up and is running it, even if you got a really good team internally, we can audit and really take you to the next level, give you the playbook or show you where you're bleeding dollars or missing the efficiency. Account takeovers, we're always prepared to jump in and take the reins. So that's a fairly easy one. If you just want to test the waters, degree program tests are a good way to do that with us. We're just very transparent. You retain ownership to everything. If we build the account from scratch, it's your account. If you give us access to the account, you keep access. It's all very above board and fair. And then strategic consulting. If there isn't something that fits neatly inside of a box, if you just need to evaluate what you should do or do some competitive research, we're happy to help with anything along those lines. So, a granular difference, we won't solely have responsibility from taking students from 8th grade to a master's degree, but what we've done for our clients makes a measurable difference in boosting enrollment and really showing an ROI and driving value ultimately. Customized media plans, we're on brands in lockstep with you and your team, or other agency partners as well. We've worked with plenty of other agencies where we've got no ego when it comes to if you work with an agency that is kind of your agency of record and does all your design and your website, we can work with them. We'll do a great job on the advertising side for you. And then that's pretty much what we got for you. A couple more. Well, I'm staring at this picture. So I took that in New York. Google invited me out there for their Think Education event, which is pretty cool. So I was side by side with a lot of the big college and university advertisers. I think that was over a decade ago. So that's what we got for you. Thank you very much. We got contact info here. You can email either of us at any point. Check out our website, get more information on who we are. And like Steve said, we'll share this out with the attendees, and we're happy to answer any questions afterwards. So thanks for giving us your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.